Oh, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the beautiful snowy Peak District. So, a little bit of a backstory to this trip. So today I was actually meant to be staying local. I was going out with the camera and I was gonna stay local, and me and Mrs. S were sat watching TV. So I thought, get on the Met Office app, check the weather, make sure it was frosty conditions for what I wanted to do locally. And I was just scrolling through some of the places that I've got saved, and you can't see her, but I have the weather saved for Mam Tour. Conditions predicted: snow and fog. Well, you can see we got the snow, you can see we got the fog, and the sun is just trying to push its way through there. You might have seen from the B-roll earlier the shot over the Blue John Caverns. Lovely. So, kind of little bit blessed. The downside is, because I want to get here early because I've got stuff to do this afternoon, I set the alarms for 5 o'clock. I woke up at 5:15. I had nothing prepared last night, so I didn't actually get to bed till just after 1 a.m. and then Layla decided she didn't want to sleep, so I don't think I actually got to sleep till about 1:30. Wow, that's drawing in thicker. Sorry, didn't get to sleep till about 1:30. Alarms went off at 5. I got up at 15:15, so less than 4 hours sleep. 2.5 hour drive to get here, so it seems silly not to make the most of these conditions. Now, currently heading back to Winnats Pass because I thought with the cragginess up there it'll probably be lovely. Just hope this fog actually clears a little bit. You can see the sun's trying to break through there. So right, let's crack on and let's go see what we can find. Wow, just drop you down a bit. There we go. So, just been stood chatting with another photographer, to be honest with you. When the conditions are like this, you got to make the most of it. Now, you probably would have seen from that bit of B-roll, I just had some fantastic light. It's all got a bit grey and bleak down there now. So I'm trying to shelter the mic from the wind a bit. I don't know if it is. Lost me little bobble off the end, but yeah. This is looking a little bit, it was promising, and now it seems to have just gone really grey and bleak. So you'll recognise this spot anyway that I've been taking the picture from. It's we were here obviously in July, and yeah, I'm literally at that exact same spot, but I really wanted to make the most of that light that was up there. And yeah, so far so good. The pictures on the back of the camera look fantastic. So I think I'm gonna venture up to the side, and yeah, I'll check back in with you guys in a bit. So, unsurprisingly, there's a lot of photographers out today. Up Winnats. Sorry, sniffles. Because, you know, it's a bit cold. But anyway, yeah, it's rather beautiful here, to be honest with you. So when we came up last time, I didn't actually come up this side of Winnats. I actually went up to the side. Yeah, that side. But I've come up this side because look at that cragginess. Now, had some really good light. Quickly whipped out the camera and started setting up. That's starting to get better. No, it looks better on there. I'm sure I can sort that in a minute. Because what I've got is stand in front of the camera and see if I can frame it up. Yeah, something like this. So it's actually over there a bit. So what you've got is you've got the dry stone wall. I'm going to go there because you can see it running along. You've got the sweeping edge just here, and obviously you've got the road and stuff. And you've got these lines down here coming from the edge. You've got a pretty cool sky as well. I was unsure about this shot. I was looking, I was like, yeah, look at all the lines, isn't it wonderful? Snow really is helping define them as well. But I also wasn't sure what lens. It was one of those where I was like, ultra wide or just wide. Or do I whack the 50 on and you know, get in quite close and pick out part of that. Actually, looking at it, I might do that in a minute because just looking at the way the cliff actually V's down. But yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk to you about today, and this is something I'm going to hate to admit, but I've got a question for you. Was I wrong? Now, by that, what I mean is, a couple of months ago, Miss S' birthday, well, ironically in the Peaks, and I gave reasons why I won't be upgrading to a mirrorless camera yet. Don't worry, 5DS is still there. Now, I've been having a little thinky, and I watched that video again the other day, and at the end of the video I used the phrase why I won't be upgrading to a Canon mirrorless camera yet. I'm just going to let you stew on that. I'm going to have a bit more of a walk, see if I can find any more compositions. Cold. That wind is now whipping right across Winnats Pass. So I'm actually just stopped for the moment. Shelters the mic out of the wind, but I'm kind of just waiting to see if that wind will pass a bit because the snow is absolutely pounding my face and it is frozen. So I want to talk about this whole mirrorless camera issue. Now I don't really know how it's come about, but I've had my head turned by Sony. So I'm looking at the A7R4. I know a couple of photographers who have or do use that. I know Nick Page was one of them before he went over to the R5. So Makes you question, why is Mike looking at going over to the A7R4 instead of going for the R5? Now, I'll come back to that in one moment. Firstly, I want to talk to you about why I'm thinking about upgrading to the Sony from the 5DS, and that's one of the big questions really. Do I upgrade from the 5DS? Not do I switch from Canon to Sony? No, Sony to Canon, sorry. Now, let's look at a couple of the key points. Image quality. Now, I think the 5DS was released in about 2015, 2016, and at the time the technology was pretty good, to say the least. The A7R4, I believe, was released in 2019, and as Sony had made such huge leaps in the mirrorless world, their technology was absolutely phenomenal. Yes, it does mean that the camera's still 3 years old, but with them releasing the A7R5, it does mean that the market is going to become awash with used A7R4s, which hopefully come the January sales, they'll drop into a price range I'm comfortable with for upgrading. Now, why? Let's start with the image quality. So, I'm not talking about the resolution, because the A7R4 is 60 odd megapixels compared to the 5DS 50 odd megapixels. That's irrelevant to me. I'm happy with 50. I would have been happy with 40, to be fair. But we're talking about the fact that the dynamic range is around 2.5 stops better, I believe. The ISO, noise handling, according to, I believe it's DxO Mark, the A7R4 smashes the 5DS out. Now, that is quite a big one for me, both of those things, the dynamic range and the noise handling, because when conditions aren't perfect, you need that extra dynamic range, and if you have to push the camera, you need better noise handling in those darker areas if you're having to lift shadows. So that's point one, image quality. Now, there are other reasons as well with regards to that. Point two, inbuilt image stabilization. That's big for me as well. Now, I've got quite shaky hands as a general rule, so with my landscape photography, I often rely on my tripod so that I can utilize a shutter speed that means I can keep the ISO down and keep the aperture where I want it. So yeah, it's something I'm very, very keen of. Now, they do rate it at about 5 stops for image stabilization. Now, I know that's probably not the real world testing. It's probably more like 3, maybe 4. It's like anything, you know, car manufacturers with their miles per gallon, stretch that one a little bit. It's usually like perfect conditions at the perfect speeds and, you know, that kind of thing. So now, the next point, image stabilization and image quality are 2 big points. The next point, and this more goes on to lenses. Now, Sony are known for having quite good lenses, but they are quite expensive. So what does that mean for me upgrading? Well, Sigma do manufacture lenses for Sony's. Fantastic. However, Sigma also created the MC11 mount. Now, according to real world tests, the MC11 mount is as good. Basically, it's the converter, so it'll take EF lenses and convert them into FE lenses. Yeah, so EF to FE lenses, so Canon mount to Sigma mount. And apparently, according to real world tests, they're almost identical to using the native FE mount Sigma lenses. Now, that means I can actually run my current lenses on the Sony. It also means that I only need to get rid of the 5DS, which will help fund the purchase of the A7R4. And I can keep my 7D Mark 1 and 7D Mark 2 for other photography purposes, and I've got interchangeable lenses. Now, the only lens that I own that isn't a Sigma is the Canon 70-200 f4L lens. It's not the image stabilized one, but I only use that for a specific kind of photography with the 7D Mark II, so that's irrelevant. It's mainly for my landscape work that I'm looking at this for. Now, that's quite a few big points as to why I would upgrade from the 5DS to the A7R4 Sony. Now, it sounds like and it feels like that snow has eased off a little bit, so I'm going to start making my way towards the car, and the sky's gone overcast again, so yeah, I'll see if I can see any images on the way back, but if not, I'll see you back at the car and maybe on to location number 2. That snow has got so heavy at one point, I've had to take my glasses off. It is still me. Don't panic, I'm short-sighted, I can see fine, he says. It's more for driving and stuff. So, back to the should I upgrade to a mirrorless? Now, I think I've gone the wrong way. Yeah. So, one of the big points then is why would I not change from the 5DS? So there's the obvious ones. I know the camera pretty well. Even if she does spring up surprises, like you'll have seen from my woodland photography at Rosebery Topping. I can't believe I didn't know that. Anyway, yeah. But I know the camera. Image quality is pretty damn good. Considering she is an older camera, the quality is pretty fantastic. Now, one more point as well. I don't have to spend any money. It's another reason not to upgrade, and it's always a very good reason not to. Now, outside of those reasons, I'm really struggling to see why I wouldn't upgrade from the 5DS. Seems logical. New improved technology, inbuilt image stabilization, image quality, so many more focus points. Autofocus tracking for non-landscape photography work, not that I really do much where that would be matter, but the IAF or whatever it's called is another reason to upgrade. Miss S can see this and she's gonna be like, you don't sound like you're justifying it. You know, these points don't sound that major, but they are huge in the grand scheme of things. Now, while I'm walking back to the car, I just want to make one more point. Why would I not upgrade to a Canon mirrorless camera? Why would I go from a Canon to a Sony? So, now I did address a lot of the points why I won't be upgrading to a mirrorless camera yet, in respect of upgrading to a Sony. Not a fan of the EOS R, not a fan of the price of the 5DS, and the humongous fact that they won't let us won't let use RF mount lenses. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there because I couldn't see the car. Kind of doesn't help when you get blasted in the face, and as I say, I'm short-sighted, so I can make out the back of my car, so it's fine, I can see it. Thought I was lost in the white wilderness. Yeah, so I think I've already addressed the points why I don't want to upgrade to a Canon mirrorless camera yet, but I mean, a used Sony A7R4, they're going between 1,500 for a fairly used one to £2,000 for one with less than like 10,000 shutter actions. Now, when the shutter is rated to 500,000, 10,000 is barely even broken in. So yeah, I think I've taken a wrong turn. I'll have to find my own path. Yeah, for a used R5, because there isn't many around, you're still looking at £3,500. Now, I did check one of the grey import sites, and they were doing it for 3,300, but their prices fluctuate all the time. I can get a brand new A7R4 off them for 2,300, so it's still £1,000 cheaper than the R5. Now, the R5 is better. They rate the inbuilt stabilizer at 8 stops. It's familiar as well. Sony have a reputation of making rubbish menus, but I'm not an idiot. I'm sure I can work it out. But also as well, I'm familiar with the Canon ones. I could literally pick it up, find out the few differences, and crack on. I'd have to completely work out the whole Sony system. Now, a lot of people are like, make sure you handle the camera first. Mrs. S and I went to London the other day for a bit of festivities. Went down to Covent Garden and the like, and accidentally wandered onto the Strand and found London Camera Exchange, LCE. Someone I've used quite a lot for used gear. Went in there, got my hands on an actual A7R4. Fit like a glove. Seriously, I just picked it up, and my hand placement of all the dials and everything was just fantastic. I didn't handle the R5 because I knew if I wanted it, I would be rather grumpy about it. But yeah, so there we go. Was I wrong? Will I be upgrading to a mirrorless camera? We'll see. I think it's see what the new year brings, see what January sales brings. Right, I'm almost back at the car now, and I think I've taken a slightly wrong turn, so I'm going to have to detour and need to watch me feet under the snow. So yeah, onwards to location number 2. Okay, so I've just rocked up to location number 2, and sorry to disappoint you, but you're going to have to wait till next week to see this one, because I'm looking outside now and it looks pretty spectacular. I was driving here and there was no snow on the ground or anything. Got 2 minutes away and everything just started whiting up. So I'm over the moon. Yeah, can't wait for you guys to see this one. So obviously, if you have liked the video with regards to was I wrong, I'm sure Mrs. S will tell you that happens quite frequently. She'd be lying. But joking aside, was I wrong to say that I won't be upgrading to a mirrorless camera yet? I won't be upgrading to a mirrorless Canon camera yet, but I may be looking at mirrorless in the new year. So yeah, obviously if you have liked the video, and yeah, me admitting I may have been wrong, do give us the old thumbs up. Drop us some likes, drop some subscribe from down the bottom so you can see this part 2 next week. And yeah, this is Mike out. Take care, be safe everyone, peace.